Take 2 sniffs in the nose and sigh it out. Continue on your own. Take a deep breath in and relax. Good.
Okay.
How you feeling today, Rigel?
Bit ill because I had the flu all weekend, so it was
I'm
terrible.
sorry.
Don't worry. I still have this cough that's lingering with me, sore throat and cough. But apart from that, I'm quite good. I'm quite well, so I can't complain. I was much worse 2 days ago, under the blankets with almost 100-degree fever. So yeah,
That's not
but I'm good
good.
right now. Yeah. It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was bad. Yeah. But I'm much better now. I say
Okay.
that, at 70%,
Good.
not 100%, but
70%.
70. Yeah,
70% is good. It's better than
exactly.
nothing.
It's better
Yeah.
than nothing. It's better than nothing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I want to ask you about traveling. Are you a big traveler? Do you like traveling? What do you feel about traveling?
Well, you know how I feel. I mean, I guess you could say, um, being, part of a multicultural household, with our mom being not born in America, but from immigrant parents, but we're having immigrant parents, I guess you could say, traveling is kind of like in our blood, I guess, even if you think about it, we're all from Detroit area originally, but none of us live in Detroit anymore. Neither you,
No.
me, or our sister, So I'm not saying that we got away from because, it was too crazy, or too dark or anything like that, because it could be that, but that's everywhere too, But I just think that desire, that inkling, that urge to, spread your roots in other places, it creates this bigger calling. At least that's how it was with me. I'm not sure how it was with you.
Mhm.
I had the opportunity to go overseas when I was in the military, and I actually chose to go overseas intentionally. As a result, I ended up falling in love with Europe, and I
Mhm.
decided that this is a place that I refuse to give up on. There's so much to see here, but I'm quite sure there are so many other places and so many other things to see in other places. That's why, like you said before, do I like traveling? I love traveling,
Mhm.
But my question is because I'm going to ask you the question, even though I know it's kind of rhetorical, and I'm quite sure that you also love traveling because how many and been around Europe as many times as I've been around Europe almost, and you don't live in Europe, But I want to ask you, do you
Mhm.
find a big difference between being a traveler and a tourist, or do you think there's a difference?
A traveler and a tourist. I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the things when I do travel. I try not to be a tourist
Okay,
intentionally.
okay,
I
okay.
guess because I guess tourist has kind of a negative connotation, especially to the
It
locals,
does. It
because
does.
they think like the tourists just come here just to treat it like Disneyland, and this is where people
Yeah,
live. And so that's one thing I
yeah.
try to do. I try to be intentional with just respecting where I go and try to
Okay,
learn the language and try to learn the customs. At least try to fit in, not just
okay.
be like an American. Like give me a hamburger or give me
Yeah,
some
I'm
fries.
American. Yeah, I got
Exactly, I'm
dollars.
American. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
that. So, but
I got the dollars.
I think that's an important element of when you do travel is really trying to respect where you're going. And that's why even though I'm not the most successful at it, I do try to pick up the Duolingo and try to at least learn the
I
basics
mean,
of the
but
language
that's cool though, because at
before I
least
go.
most people, at least in most places in Europe, at least I would say that I've been to, and even a couple places in Asia that I've been to, I noticed that even if you use Duolingo, use your phrase book, they actually respect that because they realize that you're actually trying,
Yep.
and most people think that okay, at least most Americans, I know a lot of my ex military cohorts or compatriots, whenever we went traveling, it was like, bro, they need to understand me. I'm American. I'm like, no, they don't. You're in their country, dude. But a
Yeah.
lot of people think like that, And a lot of people accept it because they're like, okay, the Americans bring those petrol dollars in. That's what I want. You know what I'm saying? So, but my question is like, okay, you said tourists, that the name tourist brings such a negative connotation. But do you really think that there's a difference between tourism and a traveler, or being a traveler, being a tourist and a traveler? Or do you think that they're all both the same, or two different sides of the same coin?
I mean, I think they're very similar
Okay.
things. I mean, I'm not the biggest on the naming of particular things, but
Okay. Neither am
But
I.
like you said, tourism does have a negative connotation. If you look at the word tourism, it's as if you're looking to become entertained by something. So you're a
Exactly.
person
Exactly.
that's seeking entertainment, and it's
Exactly.
nothing wrong with seeking entertainment. But when you're just solely there for at a country, treating it as if it's like Disneyland or something like that, I think that's a little bit different than the person who travels. They might be two sides of this of a similar coin or the same coin, but I think there is a difference. I think the person
Okay.
that's a traveler is a person that kind of maybe just kind of like engulfs themselves into different environments, or she
Okay.
engulfs herself into different environments and try to learn the culture, or at least be a part of the culture for 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 her momentary or his momentary stay in that environment. So I think if you look at it like with those definitions, there is quite a difference between a traveler and a tourist.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I definitely agree with you. And we've done quite a few trips together, and
Mhm.
I'd like to say that we definitely did quite a few trips as travelers, not so much as tourists, because it was kind of like, off the cuff, ad lib, whatever happens, happens, trying to integrate, trying to mingle, what I'm saying, trying to get in with the local crowds, local
Mhm.
groups. And that's what I'm about, because I think that's the true essence of why a person would like to travel, to understand another culture, another area, another um, other customs and traditions, because they want to know how they do things differently. It could be the same thing that they do, but they might do it differently. Or it might be something different, but they do it in the same way, saying, from where you're from. But also, I noticed that sometimes, is it possible that, I just go to a place and you go to a place and you have no plans, saying you don't have an itinerary, and you're just kind of winging it, and you're really not neither a tourist nor a traveler. You're just kind of like seeing, like, where the fuck is the wind going to take me? I mean, I think that, in a sense, at least in my experience, is 95% of the times, I've always had the best experiences doing that. Not having a set itinerary, not being part of a fixed group. But I found that, really getting to know the people. Saying, I remember when we went to Prague in 2017, and I kind of got lost in one of the towns and cities or whatever, and we didn't see each other like till the next day. I don't know if you remember that,
Yeah, I
because
remember
I
that.
just kept riding. Yeah, I kind of I rode my bike until, I'm like, whoa. Then I'm like, damn, it's 8 o'clock at night. I can't go back, and, it's dark. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to get back. So, but I think that, those experiences, yeah, obviously, I can't lie and say that, being, I'm not going to say African American, but being a male particularly, and not being a scrawny or what seems to be a defenseless person. A lot of people, I don't have to worry about the safety aspect so much. Obviously, if you're going to London town and you're going around, showboating, yeah, you get stabbed with a quickness. Same thing in New York or Detroit or Chicago, wherever you go, or even LA, But for the most part, if they see that you're a tourist, they realize that, okay, you're not an easy victim. I'm not going to mess with him. But what about those people who are not so, saying, who don't exude, who don't project or convey a type of self security? What about when they want to try to experience a new culture, a new tradition? Because it's not so easy. They might get scanned by
Yeah.
someone, say, "Oh, I show you where to go." You know,
Mhm.
you've been to some remote places. You've been to the Amazon, and parts of South America, and I've been to some parts of Africa where I would have to say that I was lucky. You know what I'm saying? I've been to parts of India like you have, and I would have to say that I was lucky. That I wasn't scammed. But I could easily see, especially when I hear so many stories about other people, other tourists who get scammed. They get, I'm not going to say kidnapped or, because that's the most extreme case, but they may get, robbed completely, you know what I'm saying? They may be, left naked and bare, you know what I'm saying? Having to go to their local or their only embassy or consulate just to try to get back home because they had, they only arrived 2 days ago and now they have the shittiest
Mm.
holiday ever, because they don't have anything else, But how can other people be as lucky as far as my experiences as myself, or even as lucky as you, and not run into so many problems? What do you think people can
You
do?
know what? I definitely do say it is. I've definitely been lucky that nothing really unfortunate happened to me on the trip, and I've been into some really like very interesting and unique places in the world that are definitely dangerous. And it does help being a black man that's in good shape, that's of a good build,
Okay,
that looks tough. No question about that. So I can't really speak on like, maybe
it's
other
definitely a
people
factor. Yeah.
who are not that. But I know so many like solo white women or women in
Okay.
general that maybe
Okay.
not the biggest who've been traveling on their own, solo traveling on
Okay.
their own. I think the most important thing is like doing your homework, figuring
Okay.
out
Okay.
like there's so many blogs out there. You can just go on Google or you can do ask Chat GPT.
Yeah.
What's the deal for solo travelers
Yeah.
during the day and during the night.
Yeah.
And then the most of these places they do have Uber. So
Uh-huh.
the only time you're going to really get robbed or something like that is when you're not in a public place or something like
Okay.
that. So if you stick to a public place, even in the most dangerous place, if you stick to a public place and you take a Uber back to your hotel or your Airbnb at night, that
Yeah.
pretty minimizes anything that's going to really get you in trouble.
I
I
noticed
think.
that with me too. I noticed that with me too. But
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know, bro. But like you said, I don't think that. Okay, obviously, I'm sure that if both you and I, saying we went around to the favelas. You actually been to the favelas. I've been to Brazil, not to the favelas, but I've been to Brazil and
mhm,
I've been to the ghettos and
yeah,
some of the outskirts of Rio, where it's not so safe. And I would say that I'm lucky, but I'm sure that if I went around, like, yo, what's up? Chain hanging out. I don't wear any jewelry, but chain hanging out, like, yo, what's up? Y'all not fucking with me. I'm sure that I would be outed instantly. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But not doing that, I'm sure that I don't have a target in my head because, like you said, I'm an African American male, quite stalky.
yeah.
I'm not, can be quite intimidating. I've been told that. I don't think of myself as like that, but people like physically, right, Joe? Your stature is quite intimidating. Can be, at least. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, but people don't have that luck. You know what I'm saying? And like you said before, we can. They can get onto the travel blogs or watch some vlogs or you know chat GPT. What's the best route to take? I don't know. Do you think that it's as safe for others as it can be for all people who are traveling, or do you think that some people are more susceptible
No,
to?
no, no. No, I think it's definitely not as safe, and that's just the way it is. It's just not. It's not
Okay,
as safe for women in general, especially solo
okay,
women traveling, or maybe maybe whatever, a scrawny white guy or whatever, or a scrawny little Asian guy or whatever. I don't know.
yeah, but
Maybe
that's even. Yeah, you're right. You're right, because even in your hometown, it
but
can be like that.
that's just the
Yeah,
nature of it. But if you're getting scammed, that's another thing. That means that you're personally gullible. So that mean that and that usually comes from being scammed comes from lack of education.
yeah,
So that's mean you're not educated on the ways of the street, on the ways of being into these type of environments. But you'll soon develop that education after you get scammed a couple times. Then you won't get you hopefully you won't get scammed anymore. But
yeah.
for just
With me
people
one time.
make people just making you target. They're kind of like that's kind of based on your identity, your physical identity, making you a target. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing much you can do about that too. We're also a target for the police too in a lot of areas
yeah,
too. So
exactly, exactly,
you got you got
exactly,
you got,
exactly.
you got to take the pros and the cons with it. But I just think if you do your homework and you go into these lot of places, for the most part, you can be safe unless it's a really, really bad environment, you
Okay,
know. And so,
okay,
I've never been to like war torn African countries or like that. I went to Brazil, and in India is definitely a little bit intense. But for the
yeah,
most part, in India, people kind of respect other human beings, so they're not really about like killing people and beating people up and stuff like that so much. I mean, they may rob you, no question about that. Whereas Rio was a little bit different, and Brazil was a little bit different. People will rob you and steal you and beat you up and maybe even kill you. But I just always stuck to crowded neighborhoods. I was out and during the day walking. I didn't really carry much money on me, just my phone. Even though your phone is a very high commodity, very
Exactly,
expensive
especially
commodity there.
today. Yeah, especially
Yeah,
today.
especially over there, because they don't, like, for us in America, they give us iPhones, but there's like $1,000 tax on the iPhone. So
Exactly, exactly. Plus,
so
you have so much of your information on there, so
exactly. That,
yeah.
yeah, that's that. Yeah. So, but for the most part, yeah, I felt, but I think for anybody, no matter what your physical stature is, the more you do travel, you learn how to be savvy when you travel. So
Okay.
you learn, like even though I may be big now for traveling, but when I was young, growing up in Inkster, Michigan, I was small and scrawny. So
Yeah,
I had to, I
exactly.
had to, learn- I learned how to deal with other things or create other advantages for me to avoid getting into conflicts or win conflicts that I were in. So I just think that's through experience of traveling, you learn the savviness, you learn how to think on your feet and get out of situations, not even put yourself in those situations to start with. And I know a
Okay.
lot of solo female travelers that travel a lot, and it's pretty much a successful deal with them. So
Yeah, no, no. I have a ex colleague, ex coworker, who's actually been to 67 different countries. Yeah, a lot of them
wow,
are in the Middle East, yeah, and Africa, right? But no, but I feel the same. I feel the opposite way as you do about India and South America. I found Brazil
oh,
much more safer than
oh,
India because
wow,
where we were in Kashmir. We were on the
okay,
border, the Pakistani and Indian border, and I
hmm,
remember that that border was contested maybe every 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm saying? And we were told by our B&B host that just last week, three separate occasions, tourists were kidnapped by the Taliban. Dude, I'm like, bro, for real? And
wow,
yeah, because they had this curfew that even if you were a tourist, you were arrested after nightfall. You know what I'm saying, for your safety. You know what I'm
hmm,
saying. But yeah. So like you said, and I think you hit the nail on the head. And that's what I wanted to get to. You said that if you get scammed enough, if you know what I'm saying, if you find yourself in those how can I say detrimental or those risque situations, you learn from those. Usually traveling, being a traveler or tourist, however, like we said before, it depends on everyone's definition of the word. But let's take a generic definition of the word. We said before, the tourists are the people who do these itinerary group packages, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And travelers are the ones who try to live like the locals. Um, so who do you think learns more? Who do you think gets more out of a better learning experience? The traveler who visits that nation, or the locals who see that there are different people from different backgrounds who see the
hmm.
world differently than themselves? Who do you think gains the
I
most?
I
I think
think
they both gain, but who do you think gains the most?
I think they both definitely gain, but I think for the most part, the traveler is going to be more open because they're open. That's what their intentions was to come to a different country
Okay,
and
okay,
to be wide open. Whereas if you're a local there, you see another foreigner, yeah, it opens your eye a little bit, but no matter what, you're back on your daily routine in life. So
uh-huh.
you get back to your daily grind, and then maybe that tourist or that traveler had a little bit of an impression upon you, but for the most part, you're focused on your daily activities. Whereas the traveler comes to another country shaken, or she is shaken up out of their daily routine and then
Yeah,
immersed into a different culture. So definitely I think that the traveler, and this is of course an overbroad generalization, but
yeah.
they're in the best position to learn.
Yeah, I agree with you because I think that obviously you have some so-called travelers or so-called tourists who want to live that lifestyle, but then they go to Cambodia and they're looking for the McDonald's or Pizza Hut or Taco Bell. Or you know what I'm saying, or you go to I don't know, Madagascar, Sri Lanka, or Mauritius, and you want to look for the nearest Louis Vuitton shop or the Gucci shop, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you go to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia and you want to hit up the fashion district, which is fantastic because I've been,
Hmm.
but it's catering only to the hyper wealthy
Hmm.
and tourists who come up, you know, and they want to see, they want to see, okay, so Africa can do it too, you know, but
Hmm.
Africans don't go there except for the ones who, you know what I'm saying, who
Yeah.
work there, you know what I'm saying? Or
Hmm.
like you said before, trying to mug you, pickpocket you, or scam you in some way, you know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
right, but a lot of people, you know, I hate to bring out my inner Greta, my inner Thornburg out on you, but a lot of people say that being tourists or being travelers who visit some places, especially places which are, how can I say, sensitive to how can I say, oversaturation, overpopulation, crowds, etc. Destroy those places. For example, you went to Machu Picchu, and Machu Picchu is one of my bucket list places. But
I've not been to Machu Picchu.
okay. But you've been to La Paz and Lima, right?
I've not been to Lima. No.
Okay. I thought you had.
Uh,
Okay, I thought you had. Okay, but I know that for me, Machu Picchu is one of my bucket list places. But
mhm.
at the moment, at the moment, they said that Machu Picchu is about they have about a 16 to 18 month waiting list. You know,
Mhm.
and they're not letting the standard 2,500 people visit the site, but like 250 visit the site every
Mhm.
day. If it rains, if it's, you know, saying if the weather is inclement, you miss your turn and you have to put yourself back on the list. You know what I'm saying? So because in some cases that's necessary to preserve that area. You know, similar things are happening to Stonehenge. So do you think that particular sites, these beautiful places, Easter Island, Machu Picchu, Stonehenge, do you think these places should be limited, or should everyone have the opportunity? You know what? I buy a ticket and I'm going there and I want to see it. Why not? Or do you think that
You know,
you should plan ahead and reserve your spot? You know,
I
what do
think
you think?
you got it. I think you got to kind of, I know you're a big fan of very small government, but I think you do have to govern these areas a little bit because they are special, and then we can go down to a slippery slope. What is determined as special and whatnot?
Exactly.
But
Okay.
for the most part, these really big places, they need to be some type of conservation because people are
Okay.
destroying it. And
Okay.
I think also to make it much much easier to conserve, they need to stop making it so easy for people to access it. I know you want to have it where like people who are handicapped or elderly can be able to go in, but now you got like trains and trams
Yeah.
cutting through the
Exactly.
forest and all that stuff.
Skylines. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like a big fan. Like if you can't hike it, you don't belong. It's just not for
Okay.
you. And I
Okay.
think that's
Okay.
where Yosemite, they're big on that too. They got trams and trucks and vans and everything, taking everybody on all these tours to get all over these hikes. I mean, like if you can't do the hike, I just think you shouldn't be there. And I know you want
That's
to be
strange though, coming from you, because
no,
there's
you want to be inclusive and everything. You want everybody
okay.
to enjoy it, but
Okay.
you can't enjoy it to the detriment of 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 of,
Of that
of, of
place.
of that place, of that
Yeah.
environment. 'Cause, like to put trams and stuff in these natural environments is very toxic for that environment.
Okay. No, in fact,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So,
so
so, so you think that government should do more to try to not limit, but to make it accessible to those who really want to do it? Is that what
I
you're
think
saying mostly?
no, I think I should make. I think you should have conservation in some of these places. So having quotas is a good thing,
Okay.
and then also, but B, most importantly, stop making it so easily accessible for everybody by introducing artificial means of transportations in these environments like
Okay.
trams and trains and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, because just the creation of these trams and trains is very toxic to the environment, and also a lot of them do run on gas. But I think most of them are electric now, so you don't have to worry. I mean, you still got to use electricity, so
Yeah.
electricity
But
burns coal.
yeah.
Coal, so everything is some type of energy that's being used, unless it's solar. But
Yeah.
the only thing is,
Like you said.
you don't have the
Like you said.
carbon emissions so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even apart from that, like you said before, you're disturbing, natural ecosystems already by
Yep.
us going there. Disturbs that, But when you're you're building sky lifts, saying,
Mhm.
and into the tree lines, saying you're disrupting the natural drainage of rainwater just to build some railroad tracks or some roads. Yeah, like you said, it disturbs the natural ecosystems anyway, right? So uh, also, what I wanted to bring out, because what I wanted to bring up was, I'm not sure if you heard about this. There were actually two cases in like a 6 month span or 5 month span. You've been to Rome before, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you told me that you loved it. I know I
Yeah.
love Rome.
Yeah. Rome is
Um,
beautiful.
but there was it 2 years ago? I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote the date, but it's not important. Like I said, there were two events that happened, within 5 or 6 months of each other. First, there was a British woman who defaced the Colosseum, and then
What?
like 5 months later, yeah, 5 months later, it was like like two American girls who like spray paint. They're not really spray paint, but they defaced one of the walls, one of the inner walls of the Colosseum, saying Roz was here, yeah, bitches, and they Facebook lived it or Instagram lived it, um, because a lot of times, and I was reading this article, I believe in Psychology Today, just a couple of weeks ago, talking about how photographs can, how can I say, be detrimental to our memories. Why?
Mm-mm.
Because we're so focused on capturing that moment instead of living that moment. And
Exactly. I agree.
you remember when we went to the Louvre and we saw the
Yeah.
Mona Lisa, and there were like three people, me, you, and like two other guys who were actually looking at the Mona Lisa, and everybody else was in photo with the cameras out. What I'm saying? They're little, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're with selfies, sticking their finger, virtually in the Mona Lisa's nose. You know,
Hmm.
but so many people actually, as I was saying before, so many people don't want to really visit and live those experiences of the Machu Picchu's, of the Everests, or the Kapadu or K2, or what I'm saying, or what have you, the pyramids, but they just want to, take a picture, take a selfie, give a memory to other people instead of living that memory. So I'm not. Obviously it's impossible to try to filter out those people. But do you think there's a way to try to limit or prohibit that? I thought that was what I thought. I'm not gonna lie to you. The first time when we went to Paris, what, 7, 8 years ago, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I went to Louvre, I thought that taking pictures were prohibited, but they're not. Everybody's taking pictures.
Hmm.
It says like in some parts that they said flash photography is not possible. But do you think that if you limit it and say people can, saying like the comedy shows, they should, lock up your telephones. You can't use it. Experience this moment. You know what I'm saying? You think if we were able to lock up I'm gonna say, our memory storage devices and use the one main memory storage device, do you think that would also kind of limit this misuse and saturation of particular monuments, places, and sites?
I think that definitely would limit, no question about it, because a lot of people do go there for the photo ops and not even really pay
Okay.
attention to what they're seeing. But I don't know. I think that maybe be a little bit more obtrusive in people's liberties, civil liberties, because it's not really affecting too much if you take in a non-flash. I mean, it is annoying seeing those people, but I don't know. I think that may be a little bit too much. Much of an infringing on people's human basic rights. But I think not creating like such easily accessible like trains and stuff in some of these nature and having a quota system is a good thing to do. And maybe if you have a quota system, you can ask people, they have to actually apply to get on some of these hikes, and then maybe they can state their intention, and then maybe you can base it on that too. That can be a good thing. People that are there strictly just for like for adventure and they want to travel and learn, those maybe should have higher priorities than people just want to take photos and stuff like that and with their family. And so
All right.
I
So
mean,
can I take the question to the next level for you, Richard, please? Because
yes.
this is something that a lot of people
Mhm.
ask me, and I think about you. I think about Rhodesia. I think about mom even. I think about me, you, our sister, and our mom, because we're all living in places where we weren't born nor brought up in.
Mhm.
And we're living in places where we weren't born nor brought up in for many years, for multiple years. Um, so when does a traveler become an immigrant? That's what I want to know for you or from you.
I think once they become resident, you know,
Okay.
and once they claim
You think it's that
residency, yeah.
simple? You think it's that simple?
Well, that I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, when a person set their heart on that place, I mean, that's kind of
Okay,
like
okay, okay,
it's a very
okay.
subjective thing, and there's no. I don't know what the metrics is to measure when is that time, or what are the events to create that. But you
But
know,
there has to be some kind of emotional connection. Yes, you think?
yeah, I think that yeah, at least for
Okay,
that time, you know. So
okay.
that's it. So
Yeah, no,
yeah, but
because personally, with me, what it was, I remember coming here
mhm.
to Europe. I said, after I got out of the military, I said, you know what, I'll come back to Europe for a couple years at least. What I'm saying, probably stay in Sicily because that's what I know since I've been here. For the past 4 years. And it may, I may spread my branches. I may go out to Budapest or Czechoslovakia, Prague or Berlin. And ended up staying here, but I still visited all those places. I still love all those places throughout Europe because, like you said, there was this emotional attachment. Not that I've lost the emotional attachment from home, but because I've created new attachments. But another question I have for you: because obviously your first visit to LA, even if it was a move to LA, you were still there as a traveler until you became a resident, an immigrant. Uh, what was it for you personally that moment, like you said before, that made that impact? To say, you know what, this is something that I want to pursue. It's not necessarily my end game, but it's something that I want to pursue as far as obtaining my or arriving to my next step.
I think about after a good year, I got really settled in with a job and everything, and that was it. And I'm
Okay.
here, but you know, I'm ready to move on and see what else is on for life. But business is good in LA for now, and I'm just going to try to milk it as much as I can. But then hopefully be retired from in person type of work, and then
Okay.
just
Okay.
try to be more online work for the rest of my
Okay.
life. Yeah,
And live everywhere. Live everywhere. Be a world citizen, like
and
Yassine
definitely
Bey, like Yassine Bey.
and be a world
That's
citizen.